And we're live. Hey, I didn't even I meant to do a countdown there so that people would see that we're getting ready to go, and it didn't work. And I'm still eating my Impossible Whopper, in that it's fake meat. It's plant-based meat, the Impossible Burger. And on Tuesdays, T-Mobile sends out like a free Impossible Whopper, and people send me their codes because people are nice. And then I got myself an Impossible Whopper, and it's very messy because I take it home and I pimp it. And so it's just a mess over here, and I'll show you what it looks like. I know you guys don't want to watch me actually eating it, but that's how I pimp out the Impossible Whopper. That's what it looks like right there. President Trump just pardoned everybody. He just put out 20 pardons, including a cat who committed the most Medicare fraud in history. Pardon. Done. Whatever you want. Anybody who supported him, remember Chris Collins, the congressperson who supported him and then was caught doing all kinds of bad things, illegal things, pardoned. Duncan, the congressperson who supported him and then was spending all this money of campaign, what did he spend? Like just gallons of liquor, spent it on just vacations for himself, for his wife, who was, I think, estranged at the time, and I think that somehow got involved with the reporting of the crime. Paid for his rabbit to sit on a plane next to him so that the rabbit, his pet rabbit, wouldn't have to ride in the cargo. Had a pass it. He paid for that with campaign funds. Rabbits are the one pet that I'm against because I'm allergic to them, and a rabbit bit me when I was 8 years old, which nobody believes, but the rabbit literally jumped up and bit me like out of Monty Python. I'm like, well, rabbits don't bite. Why am I bleeding? Congratulations, David Mickelson, on being first. So we'll get right into the Trump video, and I will turn my camera off if I can figure out how to do that tonight. I do have carrot-like fingers. I was very orange as a child. They thought I'd grow up to be president someday. Anyway, yeah, he pardoned George Papadopoulos. He pardoned Alex Vanderswanson, who is the son-in-law, lied to the FBI, by the way, is the son-in-law of a Russian oligarch. Pardoned many people along the way. It's just ridiculous. I was looking at his list of pardons. He also listed people who supported the pardons. Now, normally the way the pardons are supposed to work is the Department of Justice has appeals from people who, somebody at the Department of Justice or a law enforcement agency somewhere along the way has looked and said, well, this is really unfair that this person is still in jail, or this person was wrongfully convicted and it's tied up in courts. So that makes its way up the chain, and then those are handed to the president. Now, does every president pardon some people that are personal friends or fundraisers? Yes. President Clinton had a little bit of a hubbub, and it's the last couple of days in office. Usually they just sign off. I wouldn't doubt it. Just to burn down the country, Trump just pardons every federal prisoner on his last day. That's it. You're all loose. You guys didn't want me? Fuck y'all. I have a lot of gray hair. The light just doesn't show it right now, but yeah, there's a ton. You can see, yeah, you can see there's one right there. Look at that. I've got at least 4 or 5 gray hair. So hey everybody, good to see you. This is the live stream. If you want to join in the chat room, just chat on whatever platform you're using. Are we up on the Twitters, guys? Let me just check that out. Make sure that everything seems to be broadcasting. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of people watching in Twitter. I don't know if the chat window's working for Twitter. If you're on Twitter, say hi in the Twitter chat or Periscope. There it is. Chef Rob just said hey. So Twitter's working. If you want to swear, go to Twitch. You can swear all you want on Twitch. They don't care. And the way we've got the chat window set up over there is it'll go right through and go right to the chat window. So if you want to swear up a storm, head over there. Thanks to everybody, by the way, who helps out with the chat room on YouTube. All the moderators who make sure people who want to say boobs can get through. Michelle, good to see you. Dr. Howard, good to see you. Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann, you've been busy a lot lately. You're taking some sort of college course or something I read in one of the chat windows. So good to see you here. At Random wouldn't be a broadcast without At Random. Lizzie is usually on the Twitch there. Allison, good to see you. Everybody else, David, I saw you here earlier. HB, my friend HB. Musical genius HB. It's good to see you. Speaking of music, I had planned tonight to start working, to continue working on my Mr. Grinch video, the parody, that we wrote together last night. I was going to brush that up and then record it and get that out there, edit it tonight, maybe have you guys in on the editing, because that's something that I can do in one window and you guys could see it here, there, strike a pose. There's nothing to it. Hey, Todd, good to see you. Todd helped us write the parody as well. And then this happened. President Trump put out a 4-minute clip on Twitter, and it seemed highly edited. Turns out it was, because then he released, a little while later, he released the full thing on Facebook. So here is the full video. This is President Trump just talking to the kids. It's a pre-Christmas message, so expect, basically it's a Yuletide greeting. There'll be talk of sugar plums and probably Santa Claus, and I'm guessing maybe a little bit of Jesus sprinkled in there as well. Let's find out what happens.
My fellow Americans, today I want
Let's see the volume. I'm trying to adjust the volume.
To you why
volume looks good for you guys. If you need the volume adjusted, let me know. I'm gonna try and eat more of my Impossible Burger and turn myself off while I do that, but I will be watching the chat room, and I'll be pausing for effect.
I am so determined to pursue every legal and constitutional option available to stop the theft of the presidential election. As president, one of my most solemn duties is to protect the integrity of your sacred right to vote. This year, using the virus as a pretext, Democrat officials in the key swing states illegally violated their own state laws in order to enable, encourage, and facilitate fraud on a scale never before seen in the history of our country. The truth is, we won the election by a landslide. We won it big. Today, I'm going to give you the facts that every American needs to know. Let's go back to the night of the election. By midnight, we had a commanding lead in the swing states. We won Florida by a record number of votes. We won Ohio by a record number of votes. And likewise, we won Iowa by 8.2%, far different than the false narrative portrayed in the media. We were up by 293,000 votes in Michigan, 112,000 votes in Wisconsin, 356,000 votes in Georgia, and nearly 700,000 votes in Pennsylvania, all swing states. These numbers were absolutely impossible for Joe Biden to overcome.
They were not. And the Buffalo Bills were up by 17 points at halftime. That is when they won the first of 4 Super Bowls.
And the Democrats knew it, and everybody forecasting knew it and understood it well. Our nation's greatest political professionals were calling to congratulate me on our victory. Then suddenly everything started to disappear. Everything started to change.
He knew in advance. Remember, before the election, he was talking about how we may not know on the night of the election. He was very upset because he wanted to know the winner on the night of the election, which has often happened in this country's history and sometimes doesn't happen. He knew that it was going to take some time to count the votes. Democrats in some of the states, including Pennsylvania, said, hey, let's start counting the votes in advance like they do in Florida. The Republicans in Pennsylvania said, no, you're not doing that. And that's why Pennsylvania was Pennsylvania. Michigan cannot start counting until the day of the election. Wisconsin cannot start counting until 7 a.m. on Election Day. If they were allowed to count earlier as the votes were coming in, we would have had the answer on election night. But everybody knew that it was going to take some time. So this screed is just nonsense because we have video after video of him saying that it could take years to find out who the winner is.
The vote counting abruptly stopped in multiple states.
It did not. It did not stop.
In the middle of the night, a series of massive and statistically inconceivable vote dumps overturned the results in state after state. At 6:31 a.m., very early in the morning, Michigan suddenly reported 140.
Who cares if it's at 6:31 in the very early in the morning? I usually don't get up that early. You know, I am up, but I'm on the toilet, I'm tweeting. Look, that's not important right now.
27,224 votes. 94% for Biden, 6% for Trump. At 4.
I'm not going to check those figures, but that could be accurate. There's nothing wrong with those figures coming out of Wayne County. That's not surprising at all.
4:42 a.m.
Wayne County's where Detroit is.
Wisconsin reported 143,279 votes, almost all of them for Biden. A similar massive
In the cities, in Milwaukee County, yes.
drop of ballots happened in Georgia at 1:34 a.m. Again, almost all of these votes for Biden. These gigantic.
In the cities, that's what happens. Here, I can come back now, guys. Let me see if I can see you there. Let's see what camera one. Oh! Ah! I didn't even know that was going to happen. Merry Christmas, everybody. Here we go.
And ridiculously one-sided spikes were miraculously just enough to push Joe Biden into the lead in all of the key swing states. These glaring.
Incorrect. He was already in the lead in Nevada. He did not get to the lead in North Carolina. Virginia was already in his camp on election night. They had already predicted it. Fox News, if you remember, called Arizona at, what was it, about 9:30, 10 o'clock Pacific time? Shortly after the polls closed in Arizona, they called Arizona for Biden, and they were right. And they took grief for it for several days. But yeah, Fox News was right. So all what he's saying now is not reality.
Anomalies are just the tip of the iceberg. We won 18 of 19 bellwether counties.
Not a thing. Bellwether counties are not a thing.
A record that
it's not a record. No, like he's been saying, and not only has he been saying, but was actually submitted into the Supreme Court in his motion to support the Texas. The intervention, it's called, the Texas case in the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court rejected. In that motion, he actually says that no Republican or no president has ever lost if they win Ohio and Florida. And of course, in 1960, Nixon lost, even though he won Ohio and Florida. That's right there. That's his first point of evidence talking about fraud before the Supreme Court. And it's wrong. It's verifiably, very quickly wrong. And every Supreme Court justice knows how to do that.
Have correctly predicted the winner of every presidential election for the last 40 years. We also won Ohio, Florida.
Well, not this one.
And Iowa by historic margins, meaning Biden would be the first candidate since 1960 and only the second candidate in American history to win the White House while losing all three of those major states.
Right, and he said before, never. But now he's acknowledging 1960. Somebody actually told him something, and or he's just reading off the teleprompter. Because first he was saying on Twitter, he was saying Ohio and Florida. And then he amended it to say, oh, and Iowa. Still wrong. Nixon won Iowa.
And it wasn't even...
Hey, Patrick Anderson, I was just talking to your dad last night. Good to see you in here. Can you please turn up his volume? I sure can. Let me pump it up a little bit here.
Close. With Joe...
Okay, let me do it a little bit more. You know what? His volume got softer. This video was not well edited. Here we go.
Biden at the top of the ticket. The Democrats lost 25 out of 26 toss-up House seats.
Doesn't matter.
That's a record. Democrats...
Not a record. Not a record at all. Not even close to being a record. It's so stupid. Watergate!
We're projected to gain 15 seats and...
Shauna, Rob, thank you very much for the Super Hearts. Shauna, you're at Tier 1. Rob, you're at Tier 0. What the hell, Rob? I still don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. Thank you very, very, very much, both of you.
Instead, because of my success and coattails, as they call them, they lost 14 seats. So think of that. They were going to...
Okay, so Trump's success was that he was beaten by 7 million votes. He lost the national popular vote about 51% to 47%. The people of Congress, his Republicans, also lost by an average margin of 51% to 47%. The math is completely accurate. There were no coattails. The Republicans lost the House again. The Republicans won the House in 2016. Trump served a couple of years, and the American people were like, screw this. They took the House away from Trump. And in 2020, they kept the House away from Trump. So this whole coattail thing, it's nonsense.
To win big.
They wouldn't have lost without me. Couldn't have done it. I need all the credit for the loss of the House.
Big, and they ended up losing big. My campaign...
No, they did not end up losing big. They won the House. No, they did not end up losing big. They won the House. What he just said. They did not end up losing big. They won the House. Right. What he just said. They did not end up losing big. They won the House. Exactly. They did not end up losing big. They won the House. Exactly. See? We're all in agreement here. I didn't realize you guys could also hear the voices in my head. What's that? Clean the gun? Okay. I'll be back.
Received more votes than any president in history. Almost 75 million people voted for me.
Last time I checked, it was just above 74, but okay, sure, 75, great.
We earned approximately 12 million more votes than we got in 2016, the largest vote increase for an incumbent president ever recorded.
Okay.
I also received the largest share of non-white voters of any Republican in over 60 years.
And lost to the Democrats on that. Huge loss.
In fact, we did better with African American and Hispanic voters everywhere in the country, except for a small handful of corrupt Democrat-run cities in key swing states, places notorious for fraud, such as Milwaukee, Detroit.
I'm really wondering if he's going to finish the sentence. He's reading off a teleprompter, but I think he's off-roading right now. I don't know if he's going to finish this sentence.
Detroit, Atlanta, and Philadelphia, all run by Democrat machine politicians. No president has ever lost.
No, didn't finish the sentence. Remember, that started with, we did better, blah, 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 Democrat-run cities. We did better than... In fact, we did better than...
Lost re-election while making such extraordinary gains across the board. There's never been anything like it.
There has now.
Yet despite all of this evidence of a thundering Trump victory and all...
Thundering? That's what's going on. A thundering Trump victory. Sounds like a gay sex act. Would you like to come over? We'll do some thundering Trump.
All of those projections all through the night. They want us to believe that Joe Biden, who sells...
Hold on. Christopher Ryan's here. Okay, you were gone? Okay, guys, we're going to go back about 10 minutes.
Left his basement to campaign, somehow received 11.7 million more votes than Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And he beat Barack Obama all over the country.
Was not competing against Barack Obama.
It is historically, mathematically, politically, and logically impossible.
All of those things are wrong. All of them.
It did not happen. He did not win. We won by a landslide. Over the past 7 weeks, we
just no.
We have put forth abundant...
No, this isn't live. He recorded this earlier and then put 4 minutes of it. His people edited 4 minutes out of it, the gold, and put it up on Twitter. And he's like, screw this, put it all up on Facebook. So this is off of Facebook.
Evidence.
This is recorded and edited, heavily edited.
Proving how the Democrats perpetrated... We won by a landslide. Over the past 7 weeks, we have put forth abundant evidence proving how the Democrats perpetrated this...
They haven't put forth any evidence. That the case after case, judges have said there is no evidence. One of his appointed judges in an appeal court, they lost the original case, then it went to an appellate court, and that judge, a Trump appointee, said you need allegations and you need proof. We have neither here.
Monstrous fraud on the American people and indeed the world.
By the way, in the Nevada case, that you just saw. If you watch the Ron Johnson's hearing, you know what I'm saying. You saw the lawyer there for the Trump campaign, and he actually argued in court in front of Judge Johnson, I believe. And they submitted in that case, they had 20 binders full of evidence. 20 binders. But they never released what was in those binders to the public. So we have no idea. But the judge went through point by point from those binders, and in summation said, there's absolutely no evidence here. I'll pull it up. I'll tell you exactly what he said.
First, we have shown that officials in virtually every key swing state brazenly violated their own state laws in order to change election procedures, eliminate safeguards, promote fraud, and illegally benefit Joe Biden. And legislatures, which have to make the changes, were seldom, if ever, used. For example, Pennsylvania...
I got to pause him. Coming back, guys. Here's the judge. This is, sorry, not Johnson, Russell. It was Ron Johnson, the senator. That's what I was thinking. James C. Russell, the senator. I'm done, folks. Good night. Merry Christmas, everybody. The judge in the Nevada case said the contestants failed to meet their burden to provide credible and relevant evidence. This is point 177, by the way. If you want to have some fun and you're single and nothing else to do in the evening, pull up this case. Because it's point after point. This is point 177 by the time we get here. There's the findings of fact at the beginning, and then but he goes through probably 100 different, no, that's not the case. No, that's not the case. No, this is unwarranted. No, there's no evidence here. No. For example, 22,000 people voted twice. All right. Tell me one. Well, we don't have a name. We don't know. Ridiculous. And it goes on here. We've talked about this before. Therefore, based on the findings of facts and conclusions of law made by this court after trial, I hereby ordered that the contestants' contest is denied in this case, and this case is dismissed with prejudice. Now, there's with prejudice and there's without prejudice. Without prejudice is like, well, this is just, there's some mess here. You can go back and you can try again. With prejudice is saying, no, you're not coming back to court with this one. You can appeal to the next level, but you are not coming back to my courtroom with this nonsense. It's an unusual step. It could also be said that Russell did that in order to allow them to appeal immediately to the Supreme Court. He knew that was going to happen, and this was part of the process. But there was no reason for him to say there that you need credible and relevant evidence to substantiate any grounds set forth in Nevada, blah, blah, blah. He didn't. This is the kicker, though. It is hereby further ordered the contestants, the Trump campaign, shall pay defendants' costs. Which I just love. Super Chat, $25. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Merry Christmas, Heavenly Father. Merry Christmas, Heavenly Family. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Ruth Ann. Guys, if I missed something like that, let me know. There it is. Nice big. I see it. Big and orange. I bet you guys do as well. So thank you very much, Ruth Ann. I appreciate that. Hey, folks, if you'd like to contribute to the broadcast, you're more than welcome to. Here's a couple of ways to do it. PayPal.me, Kevinly Dad, Venmo. There's my Venmo. Also, I'd love you if you went to KevinlyFather.com and become a patron. And then you can contribute on a regular basis. Every month, you can contribute $1, $2,000. Whatever you can afford. In fact, we're going to see later here. Trump is saying, send back the stimulus bill. I'm not going to sign it. I want $2,000 per American, which is the first time I've ever agreed with Trump.
India's radical Democrat Secretary of State suspended all signature verification requirements.
Breaking
them if promote fraud.
Rob, thank you very much, Super Heart. Tier 1, Rob. 999 Super Hearts from that's almost 1,000 Super Hearts, Rob. That's, whoa. Slow down there, buddy. Save some of that for Christmas. Wait, it is Christmas. Thank you, Rob.
And illegally benefit Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And legislatures, which...
Chuck, thank you very much for the Super Hearts. 66. Chuck is on Tier 1. Is there another tier beyond tier? I don't even know. I don't know what the tiers are. But I'm crying tears of joy for you people. Thank you.
Have to make the changes.
Yeah.
Were seldom, if ever, used. For example, Pennsylvania's radical Democrat Secretary of State suspended all signature verification requirements, breaking Pennsylvania law.
No, that is incorrect. The Pennsylvania courts said that, and that is part of the process of law.
Not to mention the big and
Christopher, to Superheart, you got to be on the Periscope or Twitter.
very illegal ballot drops. In Michigan, the Secretary of State, a Democrat, illegally flooded the state with absentee ballot applications, even though Michigan
Not illegal, but the courts have looked at that, not determined to be illegal.
law strictly
Chuck, thanks again for more Super Hearts.
limits the distribution of absentee ballots. In Wisconsin, the major Democrat cities deployed over 500 unmanned, unsecured ballot drop boxes that were
It was 200, but they put out drop boxes.
blatantly illegal, paving the way for unlawful ballot harvesting and
So here's the deal with the ballot drop boxes. There's no way to differentiate between something placed in the ballot drop box and delivered to a clerk or put into the regular mail. There's no way. So what Giuliani asked for is it's all going to get thrown out. Every absentee ballot is going to get thrown out in Wisconsin. Now, here's what happened. It went all the way up to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and they looked at it and they said latches. Now, latches is basically saying you're too late. So there's, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but there's been like dozens and dozens of cop cars and ambulances running around my neighborhood here. I hope my house isn't on fire. If it is, it's been a pleasure, folks. Can somebody play the violin? No, hold on. That's right outside. Give me a second here. I'll be right back, guys. Everything's fine. Everything's good, guys. So what it was fire trucks and ambulances and police cars going through the neighborhoods, and the people coming out waving to them. So it's a Merry Christmas, first responders, but they've got their sirens going. So I was like, what is happening? So anyway, that was... they weren't throwing any candy because I don't think they can do that during the time of COVID. But that was just the cops and everybody just coming by and saying hi, everybody. So sorry about that. So I went out and I waved, but I don't know if they saw me. And I wasn't wearing my Santa hat in real life, so that's disappointing. And Santa Claus could have been on the fire engine by the time I got out there. It was past the fire engine. This studio's in the back of the house. And so I got on the golf cart to get to the front yard. I should have taken the private jet. I know, but I didn't know what was going on.
tremendous fraud. In Georgia, the Secretary of State began illegally processing.
Sorry, I was in the middle of explaining latches. So latches is basically you have to complain about something when you know about it. For example, let's say you're going to play in the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl is going to have a half-hour halftime for the Up With People segment instead of just the regular 15-minute halftime. And somehow that throws off your timing, and you lose the Super Bowl. You can't go to the NFL afterwards and say, like, hey, the halftime was a half an hour, and that's no fair. We would like to protest the Super Bowl because the NFL is going to say, like, it's always half an hour. You knew that. You knew that going in. So the drop boxes were announced months before the election, and they were deployed. They were visible, and the Republicans didn't make a fuss about it. If they want, they should have made a fuss about it then. It's too late at that point. And so the case was thrown out. There were 4 different things they were suing on. One of them was the drop boxes that Trump is talking about now. 200 of them, not 500. But essentially, if they had a problem with them, they should have complained about them before the election. You don't wait to see if you lose before you complain about the rules. That's a standard court practice. And there were dissenting votes. 3 Republican judges on the court disagreed with that, but they didn't disagree with with the merits of the boxes. They disagreed with it being latches. They said we should hear that. But on the one, anyway, so there's more to that case, but I don't think I want to bore you guys with the details. So let's go back.
Ballots weeks before Election Day, and also destroyed the signature verification systems in violation of the law. Many other horrible things were done in Georgia. These actions alone were more than enough to rig the election results for Democrats. Second, the absentee...
Rig the election results for Democrats. Except that he just got done saying how well the Republicans did. But it rigged it for the Democrats. Idiot.
Ballot rejection rates prove that hundreds...
Up with people. You meet them wherever you go. Up with people. They're the best kind of folks we know. HB, can you chime in here with it? If HB had his ukulele, he could play along with me. If more people were for people, all people everywhere, there'd be a lot less people to worry about. It should be, there'd be a lot fewer people to worry about. Okay? That's why up with people, out of here, people. For people. All people everywhere, there'd be a lot fewer people to worry about, and a lot more people who care. There'd be a lot less people to worry. See, I went on for half an hour with that. I should have stopped at 15. You guys weren't used to it, and you're welcome to launch a protest.
Hundreds of thousands of illegitimate ballots were counted in the key states. This was sufficient to change the election results all on its own.
Is that the right word to use there, sufficient?
In 2016, 6.4% of mail-in ballots were rejected in Georgia.
Not true.
This year, fewer than a tiny percentage of 1% were rejected. So you went all the way down, a difference of more than 30 times. The same...
That is not the way math works. You don't go down by 30 times. You can go up by 30 times. You go down to 1/30th, but you don't go down by 30 times. It's just not how math works. It's not the way you use math in a sentence. But the rejection rate was exactly the same as it was in 2018 after they made some ballot changes. So the Republicans, whenever they're talking about this, they're completely ignoring the last election, which is the precursor to the current election. That's the way elections work. They want to talk about the election from 4 years ago when things were different. Plus, anytime you have absentee ballots in a mass scale like this, typically your absentee ballot voters, especially in the southern states, usually you have to be confined. Or in the case of Wisconsin, you're supposed to be terminally confined as well. Indefinitely confined. You've got old people filling out these ballots. The more complicated the ballots, the fewer the chance the old people have of filling the ballots out. Thank you. Oh, you can't see when I mouth things with the Santa beard. Oh, well. When you've got the general population, especially Democrats, filling out those mail-in ballots, you're going to have a much better acceptance rate. Naturally, because young people are better at absorbing new things. I know this because I'm getting old.
Phenomenon occurred in Pennsylvania and other states.
What?
So you went all the way down, a difference of more than 30 times. The same phenomenon occurred in Pennsylvania and were rejected. So you went all the way down, a difference of more than 30 times.
Yeah.
The same phenomenon occurred in Pennsylvania.
Phenomenon? Is that that's the lowest common phenomenon? That's what he saw 30 times. You put the divisor on top of the phenomenon. That's 30 times. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do.
Pennsylvania and other states. They were accepting all of these ballots, many of which were absolutely illegal. In a year in which the number of mail-in ballots was the highest ever, the rejection rate was the lowest ever, and it wasn't even close. The only possible explanation is that tens of thousands of ballots were unlawfully processed and counted.
Oh, let's go
Most
back.
Americans,
You guys are going to want to hear that.
a
so
tiny
my
pull in its
phenomenon.
own. In 2016, 6.4%. You went
said that.
all the way down.
Yeah.
A difference,
30
many of
phenomenon.
which were absolutely illegal.
Yeah.
The same phenomenon occurred in Pennsylvania.
Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do 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 do. Phenomenon. Do do.
And other states. They were accepting.
That was the Muppet Show. You're right. For those of you wondering what the hell is going on right now, I've been that way for 4 years. That's from the Muppet Show, and the creatures had like long snouts. The do 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 do. There was no other. I don't remember those characters anywhere else except in that Phenomenama skit.
All of these ballots, many of which.
I actually think it's Monomanama, not Phenomenama. I don't know. I don't remember now. Again, I'm old. He's pretty. Isn't he pretty?
Which were absolutely illegal. In a year in which the number of mail-in ballots was the highest ever, the rejection rate was magically the lowest ever, and it wasn't even close.
Which state is, what state is he talking about right now?
The only possible explanation and other states.
Yeah.
They were accepting all of these ballots,
Yeah.
many of which were absolutely illegal. In a year in which the number of mail-in ballots was the highest ever, the rejection rate was magically the lowest ever, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, they got rid of the signature. You used to be able to reject signatures in or ballots because the signatures didn't match, even slightly in Pennsylvania. So they had high rejection rates. And then the courts of Pennsylvania said, well, that's ridiculous. Really, we're trying to get people to vote. That is the fundamental right of every American citizen to be able to cast their vote, and we shouldn't hold that up with a signature, especially since the fact that they've got the ballot means that a signature was already matched when they wanted the ballot. See? They're not a universal mail-in state yet. So people still had to request a mail-in ballot, and on the request, there's a signature line, and that signature is verified. So they wanted to get rid of the verification of the signature like more than a third of the country. Only less than 2/3 of the country require signature matches anymore on the actual ballot envelope. It's not a thing. You don't want to disenfranchise voters. That's kind of the basic premise of being a Secretary of State.
The only possible explanation is that tens of thousands of ballots were unlawfully processed and counted. Most Americans would be
I just gave you the actual realistic explanation.
shocked to learn that
Hey, Cousin Larry.
in no swing state is there any meaningful attempt to verify citizenship, residency, identity, or eligibility for mail-in ballots.
That is absolute and complete bullshit. 100%. You have to do so to register to vote. When you register to vote, they keep a copy of your signature. When you request a ballot, that signature is verified in all of the swing states. Such nonsense.
The potential for illegal activity is unlimited, and that's what we just experienced. Third, hundreds and hundreds of witnesses have come forward to testify under penalty of perjury about the cheating and fraud they saw with their own eyes. Witnesses have sworn that they saw poll workers illegally backdating thousands of ballots, counting batches of the same ballots many times, and unloading boxes and boxes of ballots, all bearing the same signature and all for Joe.
Here's the thing. Let's just listen to that part again. Let's just listen and tell me the basic problem with one of his premises. Just listen. Let's see if somebody gets it. That what he's saying is impossible. Tell me why.
Joe Biden, same ballots many times, and unloading boxes and boxes of ballots, all bearing the same signature and all for Joe Biden. Other witnesses have testified.
Tell me why that's impossible. Anybody. I'll give you 20 seconds. In the meantime, phenomenon, do 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 do, phenomenon, do 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 do, phenomenon. At random wins. Ballots do not have signatures on them. Signatures are on the outer envelopes. The big contention is in Michigan that Melissa Carone, special Melissa, saw multiple truckloads of ballots. Well, actually, she saw the vans. The vans were too small to hold food, but they had lots and lots of ballots, although she never saw the ballots being unloaded from the vans. Never actually saw in the middle of the night, 2 vans pulled up. She never saw anything being unloaded, but there's no signatures on the ballots. The ballots are separated from the signatures. They kept apart, and that way nobody can ever look at your ballot and say, oh, Kevin voted for this guy. That's not good. And I say that because I only ever vote for men. Come on. 17th Amendment.
To seeing thousands of so-called pristine ballots with no creases or folds, all voting for Biden. When you have no fold, it means it wasn't mailed. It means it was a fraud.
No, it means it could be a duplicate. It could be a military ballots are often faxed in or sometimes emailed in, depending on the state, and you duplicate those on ballots that the machine can count. And those ballots do not have creases. Nothing unusual about that. Nothing at all.
Republican
could have been provisional ballots. Absolutely. At random is correct again. She's winning tonight, guys. I'm sorry. I know most of you are concentrating on Christmas. She happens to be Jewish, so she doesn't care about Christmas. She hates Christmas, from what I hear. She gets so angry, she sends me notes. She DMs me, and she's like, why are you wearing Santa? You know Santa is heretic. I don't even know what that means, but it's just sad. Anyway, but she's on her game here because she's not all worried about presents and sugar plums.
Poll watchers were denied critical access as hundreds of thousands of votes were counted in Democrat-run cities in the essential states. There is even security camera footage from Georgia that shows officials telling poll watchers to leave the room before pulling suitcases of ballots out from under the tables.
Oh, he's going to show the video!
And continuing to count for hours. The reason they were forced to leave the room is they said there was a major water main break.
No, that is not the reason. And that's not even in any of the affidavits. By the way, let's talk a little bit about affidavits. Affidavits are... let me blow this up for you so everybody can see this. Come on, computer, do your thing. There we go. Let me get out of the way. An affidavit is generally inadmissible hearsay. That is from the Nevada case as well. Judge Johnson saying many of the affidavits were in those binders. He looked through the affidavits and said, this is all nonsense. Went through several of them piece by piece. Like I said, read the case. It's interesting.
Main break never happened. There was no water main break.
They weren't told there was a water main break. The ABC News reported there was a water main break. There was some sort of flooding in one of the bathrooms, but it didn't affect any of that area at the TCF. It wasn't the TCF center there. Not Allstate. But anyway, it's in the arena where they were counting the ballots in Atlanta, in Fulton County. There was water was leaking somewhere, but it didn't obviously affect that section. It's a huge arena. It's a big basketball arena. Somebody tell me the name of it. Someone's going to know the name of it. It'll pop in my head, or I'll read it. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is those suitcases full of ballots. What happened was around 10 o'clock. You know what, guys? I can just show you the actual fact check video. So we'll watch that in a second. Let's do it now, because I can pull that up pretty quickly. I sure can. Here we go. Let's watch this together, shall we? And you're gonna want volume.
From November's presidential election.
The Secretary of State is expected to actually certify the statewide results today as well. The outcome not expected to change, but legal challenges are still underway, including one involving that video right there from State Farm Arena. President Trump's lawyer.
State Farm. I said Allstate. Same company in my head. So State Farm Arena.
Other supporters, too, call it the smoking gun proving election fraud. Channel 2 investigative reporter Justin Gray spent the day with Georgia elections officials, as we saw in that video. And Justin,
out of time, investigator clip that roots before.
Yes.
We went city for those ballots in question the entire time.
Okay, so this is the head election inspector for Georgia.
You went through hours. Yes.
We went frame by frame with state election investigators. They've already spent hours analyzing this video, looking at the election night surveillance tape that President Trump's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani calls a smoking gun. Quote, suitcases pulled from under a table.
We can show exactly when they were placed under there.
So these were not mystery ballots that came from a mystery location?
No.
They were right there in the room.
Yes.
People watched them placed in those boxes.
Yes.
This is the short section of the video the Trump team has shared. It's not suitcases being pulled from under that table, but official sealed ballot containers. If we go back in the video to hours before, you can see that table being brought into the room at 8:22 a.m. Nothing underneath, no hidden suitcases. Then we can see at 10 p.m. with the room full of people, including official monitors and the media, as ballots that have been opened but not counted are placed in the boxes, sealed up and stored under the table. The reason? Employees thought they were done for the night.
They were planning on going home.
Yes. As you can tell by the fact that they're sealing everything up and preparing to leave.
Here's where there was confusion. Media and observers left as employees packed up. But this phone call changed that. Bolton's election director called the supervisor here to say, keep working, keep counting. After the secretary...
And how many people have never worked a job where you thought you're done for the night? I used to work at Blockbuster Video, and we would do an audit of the videotapes. And at a particular Blockbuster right next to East LA in a town called Pico Rivera, we had massive theft happen. And when you lost a bunch of tapes, you had to go through and scan everything. Now, if you're lucky, a whole bunch of those, it might be like one section, like martial arts. Why are we missing every Jackie Chan video? Oh, somebody didn't scan martial arts. And you'd go do that, and you'd be down to 10 tapes. So you had to lose less than 0.1%. We had a little employee who was stealing tape after tape after tape. And it wasn't until a couple of months after she left us, just a cute little adorable thing, 18 years old, very soft-spoken, sweet little voice, 5'1" maybe. One of her uncles came and said, hey, these were in her closet. Do these belong to you? And had like a laundry basket full of Blockbuster tapes. And as we were pulling them out, we're like, oh my God, here's Jackie Chan, Legends of Death, the tape that we'd been looking for 4 months.
Secretary of State's office called him to say you shouldn't stop this early. That's when employees pulled these...
Anyway, the point of that story was we would scan, and then we'd have to call the main manager. I was assistant manager. I'd have to call the main manager and be like, all right, we're done, everybody. Now it's Saturday at 2:30 in the morning. And the manager would say, like, nope, you got to do it again. District manager wants less than 0.1% or whatever. So we've all been there.
Containers of ballots back out. The so-called smoking gun video...
She stole the tapes. I don't remember what my manager actually decided to do with her, but it had to be, I think it was 85 tapes, 80. This is a long time ago, but there were a lot of tapes that she stole. And no one suspected her at all.
And went back to work. These are the same ballots official monitors watched them put away.
No magical appearing ballots. These were ballots that were processed in front of the monitors, put in the boxes in front of the monitors, and placed there in front of the monitors.
So what about that?
So that's Gabriel Sterling. He's the same guy who came out later at a press conference and said this is disgusting. Election workers have gone into hiding because their lives are being threatened. This needs to stop, and it needs to stop now. And he called out the senators and he called out Trump. So that's this guy. Republican, by the way. Igmar Bollinger said, "Stop hating on Trump. Democrats didn't sign the stimulus bill months ago." And no, they did. The Democrats voted through the HEROES Act on May 12th. That's 260 days ago now, 244 days ago. Igmar, do some reading. Go look up the HEROES Act. It was passed on May 12th. That's on congress.gov.
That gap. Well, this is what happened during the roughly an hour before an official state observer returned. Employees scanned ballots.
Yeah, these are just typical everyday election workers who are just doing their jobs. I mean, it's not like this is an Ocean's 11 level scheme that was put together in the middle of the night.
Now, there was about an hour there before the state official monitor got back. But if you watch that video, you see what they're doing. They're scanning those ballots. The state election lead investigator looked at all that video, hours of it, says she sees no evidence whatsoever of any wrongdoing. Reporting live at the state capitol, Justin Gray, Channel 2 Action News.
So, no evidence. Whoa, stop. President Trump issued pardons for 20 people. We saw that. So let's go back to Trump's speech here.
In many cases, Republican poll watchers were physically removed from rooms. In addition, there is the deeply troubling matter of Dominion voting systems.
All checked out fine.
In just one Michigan county alone, 6,000 votes.
Yes, one Michigan county alone. That is correct.
Were switched.
3,000 votes. It was a 6,000 vote sway.
From Trump to Biden. And the same system was used throughout a majority of the United States. No satisfactory explanation has been offered.
No, there's a completely satisfactory explanation
for why Dominion
a human being screwed it up.
Systems are able to switch votes with a mere push of a button. In Arizona, the state Senate is
because human beings programmed it wrong, and not even that's the wrong word. A clerk pressed the wrong buttons and put the wrong votes in the wrong column. So it's completely explainable. Multiple areas have done recounts with Dominion machines or without Dominion machines, and everything has added up just fine.
Recently issued a subpoena for a forensic audit of the voting machines and similar
A what?
With a mere push of a button. In Arizona, the state Senate has recently issued a subpoena for a forensic audit of the voting machines.
I don't know what an audit is.
And similar investigations must be conducted in every state using Dominion systems immediately.
Those are standard. Those audits and forensic audits of voting machines happens on a regular basis in every state. That's how you do.
In Texas, they don't allow Dominion systems to be used. As I have just laid out,
that's true.
We have unveiled overwhelming evidence of election fraud.
That is false.
None of this should ever have been allowed to happen in the United States of America. It is a travesty of democracy.
It is not. It is an election, and it worked.
It's a shame upon our republic. In 2016, we caught them by surprise. From that moment, they had 4 years to work on the scheme to rig the 2020 election.
And yet lost a whole bunch of seats in the House and didn't win the Senate. So
the rigging of the 2020 election was only the final step in the Democrats and the media's years-long effort to overthrow.
Oh, it was the media as well. That's what it was.
Throw the will of the American people and destroy our movement by any means possible, any means necessary. For months and indeed years before the election.
Well, if it was the final step, then we're good, right?
The media, the big tech giants, and the Democrat Party were openly colluding to deceive the American public. Earlier this year, it was proven.
Well, if they were openly colluding, that's just not how collusion works.
Beyond any doubt that Joe Biden's family received millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party.
Okay.
Yet the media and tech companies work together to completely censor this information.
And yet, that's all we heard about.
Our country no longer has a free press. It is a press of suppression. It is a press where the truth will never come out. It is the greatest and most shocking scandal involving a presidential candidate in modern history. But surveys show that half of those who voted for Joe Biden have never even heard of the story. This is not the first and only time that the media and the Biden campaign flagrantly lied to the American people. They repeatedly insisted that we would not produce a vaccine for the China virus before the middle of next year. And yet,
No, nobody said the middle of next year. They said it's from 12 months to 18 months would be standard. Sooner would be unusual. Probably not, but it could happen. In case after case, that was the case. What Dr. Redliner from, I think, Columbia or NYU said that it was preposterous. Everybody else, all of the other ones that I've looked at, has said unlikely but possible.
Yet before the end of this year, we have already authorized 2 vaccines with tens of millions of doses in distribution and hundreds of millions more on their way. This is being talked of as a great medical miracle. In this sense alone, the media and the Democrat Party lied to the
60 Minutes had a piece about it on Sunday. Interesting, by the doctors who actually invented the things, using the mRNA at Pfizer. One of the doctors said, miracles sort of, it just happened. But this is 30 to 40 years of research is what happened. This isn't a miracle. This is people working in tandem for decades that made this happen. Not a miracle. Still very good. Nothing wrong with it.
The American people to try to steal the election. Also, polls. In order to deter voter turnout, the media had me down in certain polls by 15, 16.
That was just a strange edit. Also, polls.
16 and 17. This is being talked of as a great medical miracle. In this sense alone, the media and the Democrat Party lied to the American people to try to steal the election. Also, polls. In order to deter voter turnout, the media had me down.
Wait, they were trying to steal polls?
In certain polls by 15, 16, and 17% in states that I won or came very close to winning.
He's talking about Wisconsin, and he lost Wisconsin.
If this egregious fraud is not fully investigated and addressed, the 2020 election will forever be regarded as illegitimate and the most corrupt election in the history of our country.
Okay.
Americans must be able to have complete faith and confidence in our elections. The fate of our democracy.
Chuck, thank you very much
depends
for
upon
the
it.
super
Now
hard.
is the
Tier 1, Chuck. Good job. Tier 1.
time for the American people to raise their voices and demand that this injustice be immediately
Danielle.
corrected. Our elections must be fair, they must be honest, and they must be transparent, and they must be 100% free of fraud. We won this election by a magnificent landslide, and the people of the United States.
I just feel sorry for him. Like, angry but sorry. What I'm really angry about is the fact that he reposted, who the hell was it? One of the right-wing wacko website pundit, Gateway Pundit, I think. Yeah, so he reposted OAN. Hold on.
After pulling out hidden...
Okay, yeah, this is OAN, using data from Gateway Pundit. This is OAN, and this is just dangerous. They named the poll worker who's doing her job.
Boxes stuffed with ballots. Footage analyzed by Gateway Pundit reveals Freeman apparently...
First off, it's pundit, not pundit. Secondly, it's fine. What she's doing is fine. You didn't analyze it. It's fine.
Apparently scanning the same stack of ballots over and over.
Watch what she does
Stuffed
here.
with ballots. Footage. After pulling out hidden boxes stuffed with ballots, footage analyzed by Gateway Pundit reveals Freeman apparently scanning the...
So they're using her name, Freeman. They used her full name earlier. This is just what Trump posted right before this. She's just a poll worker. She's somebody's mom. And why don't you come work the election with us, Mom? She works once every 2 years, if that. Maybe she worked in the primaries. I don't know. But this is not a full-time gig for these people. They're just trying to serve our country and make a little bit of money.
the same stack of ballots over and over again.
Yeah, but watch what happens. She sits down and she presses something on the computer in between scanning them. Over and over again, 3 times. See the video here. Counted a second time. She counted them 3 times total, which is exactly what you're supposed to do.
Stuffed with ballots, footage analyzed by Gateway Pundit reveals Freeman apparently scanning the same stack of ballots over and over again. Surveillance cameras show these poll workers watched and waited until the GOP observers.
Watch. Okay, so now Ruby, so I guess her name, that's her fault. But so anyway, she stacks the paper. Everybody has had problem getting paper to run through a printer. Same deal here. You're trying to get these things to scan through this ballot scanner. So you take them and you mash them on the table a little bit. You put them together. You fan them out. You put them back in. You press the button on the computer and you run it through again.
And reporters had left the room before they resumed scanning their ballots.
Look at her straighten out the paper here.
These 4 workers then continued counting uninterrupted for over 3 hours.
She fans them, exactly what I'm talking about.
Until sometime after 1 in the morning. During this time,
it takes a few more.
Ruby
Now
Freeman,
she's got a few more
as
here.
Seen here in this video,
Puts them
repeatedly
together,
scanned the same batch of ballots at least 3 times.
Puts the same stack in there for the 3rd time.
Which is highly illegal.
Goes to the computer, hits discard so that she can scan the batch again, which is exactly what she's supposed to do.
Illegal, and it's all captured on tape. Freeman was...
Yeah, and we also have tape of what you're supposed to do. I put it up here in my reply to him. Here's from
and reload
Dominion.
And scan the entire...
Okay, this is from Dominion Software. Let's start at the beginning here. This describes what happens when you have a ballot that's not going through easily. Okay? Just watch. This is what I said. Just watch. This is from Dominion. You can go on the website yourself, go to Dominion Voting Systems, and you will see that this is part of the process. This describes how you're supposed to use their software when there's a batch that has a couple of bad ballots in it.
Click Discard Batch and reload and scan the entire batch again.
That's it. It's as simple as that. And even with their analysis, Gateway Pundit couldn't figure that out. Fucking morons. It becomes dangerous when this poor woman is mentioned in the article by name as if she's trying to rig the election. And here's the stupid thing. Here's the absolute insanity of it. If she was scanning ballots multiple times and not resetting the software, which is what you're supposed to do, if she was doing that, when they did a recount, there would be too many votes and not enough ballots. Every time she put another 50 ballots in there, you'd be 50 ballots short. Well, guess what? They've done a hand recount. And it all matched up. And then they did a machine recount. And it all matched up. So we know for 100% sure that she wasn't scanning ballots multiple times, you fucking morons. Just terrible people. Who does that? Who is that stupid and still... That's the trouble. They make a lot of money because there's a lot of stupid money and a fool and his money. Let's go back to Trump. Speaking of fools.
Know it. All over, they're demonstrating. They're angry. They're fearful. We cannot allow a completely fraudulent election to stand. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.
Yeah. Hold on. They want to play a YouTube
My
video
fellow
for me.
Americans.
No.
Today I want to explain to you why
I want
am...
you to stop. I want you to stop. Let's go to Trump's Facebook page. Let's see if he's updated anything there. He left his statement up there. Does he do things on Facebook that he doesn't do on Twitter? I think it's just all the same stuff, right? Wait, so this is different. This is a different video.
Throughout the summer, Democrats cruelly blocked COVID relief legislation in an effort to advance their extreme left-wing agenda.
Hold on, this is really quiet. I'm going to bump it up for you. No consistency with the audio with this stuff.
And influence the election. Then, a few months ago, Congress started negotiations on a new package to get urgently needed help to the American people. It's taken forever. However, the bill they are now planning to send back to my desk is much different than anticipated. It really is a disgrace. For example, among the more than 5,000 pages in this bill, which nobody in Congress has read because of its length and complexity, it's called the COVID relief bill, but it has almost nothing to do with COVID. This bill contains $85.5 million.
It has a lot to do with COVID.
For assistance to Cambodia, $134 million to Burma, $1.3 billion for Egypt and the Egyptian military, which will go out and buy almost exclusively Russian military equipment.
Yeah, so what Congress does, especially when it gets towards the end of the session, is they'll throw a whole bunch of bills into one bill and sign it off. So that's all what he's talking about with Burma, Cambodia, Egypt, etc. That's all budgetary stuff requested by his State Department. You think the Democrats were like, let's just give a whole bunch of money to Burma? No, there's all kinds of what people would call pork in there, but they're all things that have been requested by different departments in the executive branch or otherwise. Department of Agriculture, Department of Interior, Department of State. All these different departments are asking for this money in the budget. This is the Congress giving them that money. It's just all under one bill instead of going through multiple bills. Chuck, it depends on, Chuck is asking how much do poll workers get paid? It just depends on where they are. So every state, every county is going to have their own $7, $13, $20. I don't know. Usually I would think minimum wage, depending on where they are. It's like a 3-day job, so.
$25 million for democracy and gender programs in Pakistan. $505 million to
State Department.
Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador,
I don't know where Costa Rica is.
Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Panama. $40 million
State Department.
For the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., which is not even open for business.
No, and that's why they need money, because they're not generating any revenue.
$1 billion for the
Smithsonian. That's a federal building, by the way.
Smithsonian, and an additional $154 million for the National Gallery of Art.
Not open right now because of the COVID.
Likewise, these facilities are essentially not open.
No, they're just not open.
$7 million for reef fish management.
Yeah, so that's actually $97 million. I think he's just misreading that. And it's just not just for reef, but it's basically a grant for Samoa. American Samoa. Basically, hey, Samoa, you're having trouble? Here's some money in the budget, which is what happens with Samoa every single year.
$25 million to combat Asian carp. $2.5 million to count the number.
And that's an invasive species here in the United States, in the continental United States. Missouri, Mississippi River tributaries.
Of amberjack.
And I want to say it's either Kentucky or there's one of the states has the Asian carp and has absolutely decimated the native fish. I want to say Kentucky. It was a couple of years ago that I remember reading something about this. Does anybody remember Asian carp? There's a state where it's a fishing state. They get a lot of money from tourism, and the Asian carp has absolutely killed their tourism. Missouri? I want to say Kentucky, but I could be wrong. Todd Stubler, you would know. You're a Kentucky bluegrass boy. Is it yours? Somebody look up Asian carp.
Fish in the Gulf of Mexico. A provision to promote the breeding.
Yeah, the reason this bill is 5,600 pages long is because it's a whole bunch of different bills all put together. That's how you get this bill.
Fish in federal hatcheries. $3 million in poultry production technology. $2 million to research.
So that'd be the Department of Agriculture, his department.
The impact of down trees.
Department of the Interior. Could also be the Forestry Department.
$566 million for construction projects at the FBI. The bill also
Department of Justice
allows stimulus checks for the family members of illegal aliens, allowing them to get up to $1,800 each.
Okay, complete misunderstanding of what's going on here. No money is going to illegal aliens out of this bill. What's going on is in March, when they passed the original CARES Act, and remember the CARES Act came later, but no, it came at the end of March. But remember we all got that $1,200. Some of us got the $1,200. Kevin Lee daughter didn't get her $1,200. Anyway, 7 million Americans who file with a non-citizen, somebody holding a green card or somebody on a fiance visa, somebody who's not an American citizen yet and doesn't have a social security number, if you file jointly with them on your tax return, you were left out. You didn't get the stimulus money. So 7 million U.S. citizens didn't get the stimulus money. All that the new bill says is, okay, if you file with somebody who pays taxes but doesn't have a social security number, they use another number, an FEIN or an IEN. Somebody knows. I don't know. There's another classification for, like if you have a green card, you get this instead of social security card. I had one 30 years ago. Anyway, if you do that, that's okay. You can get some of the stimulus and your kids get stimulus money as well. That's all that says. There's no $1,800 for illegal aliens.
This is far more than the Americans are given.
No, the Americans are finally going to get the money that they should have gotten retroactively back to March. That's what the bill says. But this man is a fucking idiot, and he read it off of social media from some other fucking idiot who doesn't understand how English works.
Despite all of this wasteful spending and much more, the $900 billion package provides hardworking taxpayers with only $600 each in relief payments. And not enough money is given to small businesses, and in
that's also true.
particular restaurants whose owners have suffered so grievously.
Grievously.
They were only given a deduction for others to use in business their restaurant for 2 years.
Okay, what he's talking about here is he wants what's called the 3 martini lunch deduction. He wants corporations to be able to write off when they go to lunch, okay? You used to be able to do that, and people would go to lunch and spend a ton of money and use it as a tax write-off, and that went away years ago. He wants to get that back. If you've been watching the live stream for a while, we covered a restaurant roundtable, which was rectangular, where all the restaurant owners were saying, hey, so this PPP, it's great. We need it to go for 24 weeks or longer rather than the 8 weeks. And Trump was saying, yeah, but what you really need is the deduction. You need the entertainment deduction is what I'm hearing. And every single restaurant owner, including those who are multimillionaires who owned dozens of chains, were saying, no, okay, yeah, that fine, deductions. We need the PPP to be extended further. Not more money per se, but we need it. We can't just pay it all out at 8 weeks and then it's done. We need to be able to stretch that out. So he's talking about the deduction. The deduction is back in. It expires after 2 years.
This 2-year period must be withdrawn, which will allow the owners to obtain financing and get their restaurants back in condition.
Okay, nothing to do with reality. The deduction expiring in 2 years has nothing to do with restaurant owners being able to get loans. Nothing. You can't walk into a bank and say, yeah, I own Chili Pop Pops down on the corner and I'm going to need a small business loan because now people are going to come have lunch and write it off if they own a corporation and they've got all this extra money. Corporations don't even do that anymore. How many of your bosses are like, let's go to lunch and write it off? No, they're saving every single time they can. Even public corporations, huge corporations, seldom do that anymore. Anybody who's been on per diem lately understands exactly what I'm talking about. You got to spend a week in New York. Per diem for lunch is $12. Good luck.
Congress can terminate it at a much later date, but 2 years is not acceptable. It's not enough. Congress found plenty of money for foreign countries, lobbyists, and special interests while sending the bare minimum to the American people who need it. It wasn't their fault. It was China's fault, not their fault.
Well, partially China's fault. Mostly your fault.
I am asking Congress to amend this bill and increase the ridiculously low $600 to $2,000 or $4,000.
By the way, Nancy Pelosi is very happy about that because she's been asking for $2,000. So fine.
For a couple. I'm also asking Congress.
He did two other things that were good in the last couple of weeks. Two ridiculous, like things that don't really mean anything, but things that I actually agree with. And I can't remember what they are now, but he's done three good things total. If he gets this done, it'll be the third good thing he's done as president.
To immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items.
Which, why wasn't he doing the good shit before the election?
From this legislation, and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package. And maybe that administration...
Did Pelosi say... I'm reading what Ruth Ann said here. Pelosi called it out and said the House would pass that with a voice vote tomorrow. So, yeah, they'll probably use unanimous consent tomorrow. Did she say unanimous consent? Because I think that's what she'd be talking about there. Spending $2,000 on OnlyFans. You do it. Got to get myself an OnlyFans account.
Will be me, and we will get it done.
What?
Thank you very much. Administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be, and to send me for a couple.
Okay.
I'm also asking Congress to immediately get rid of the wasteful and unnecessary items from this legislation, and to send me a suitable bill, or else the next administration will have to deliver a COVID relief package, and maybe that administration will be me.
It will not be him. And Biden has already said that they will be delivering another COVID relief package, that this one is just the beginning.
And we will get it done. Thank you very much.
Okay, but you're not going to be... Cancel this. You're not going to be the next president. So in order to get this passed... this is just a lot of what's called log rolling or log jamming put into this bill. This is a whole bunch of projects, stuff that should be passed anyway, requested by the State Department, Department of Interior, Department of Agriculture, Department of Justice, etc. Department of Transportation, I'm sure, is in there. It's 5,600 pages long. I didn't read the entire thing. Nobody has, but someone has. In terms of some of the staff have read about the transportation. Some of the staff have read the Department of Agriculture. It's fine. Of course, there's waste. There's always waste. But boy, I hope we get a little bit of money because I would like a haircut. And $600 in LA is not going to get me a haircut, mostly because all of the hair salons are closed. Kevin Lee Daughter's going to cut my hair. That's a sure thing. I don't know if, actually we might be headed for a government shutdown. Does anybody know? Have they passed a separate bill? Have they passed a clean bill to extend, the spending cap? There actually was an alternate ending to that where Trump says something about being back in office. Where's that, Ruth Ann? Let's see. Frank says some of the wasteful spending is part of an omnibus spending, not just stimulus bill. Yeah, this is all just budgetary stuff, but they're like, let's put it in there so it gets signed and we can go for Christmas. Honestly, guys, we would save $20 trillion a year if we just paid Congress by the hour. It was on Twitter. Let's see if Trump has tweeted anything else in the last few minutes. And nope. And hold on. Let's see what this one is.
I am so determined to pursue every legal and constitutional option available.
We watched that? That was the Facebook video, but the Facebook video is 14 minutes long. This one on the Twitter side is only 9 minutes and 53 seconds long, so I don't know what's going on. But I mean, it's just hack jobs. Larry Williams says, so Congress can put through a one-page bill that gives every American $2,000. Let's see what Mitch does. They will, but it'll be like any American who's making less than $78,000, and then per child, etc., $4,000 max per family. That would be great. And I will immediately put that on credit card bills. Just I can't even talk to you guys about Christmas because Kevin Lee Daughter might be watching. She was watching last night when we were doing the Grinch thing, and I think that's what I'm going to work on now. Or it's 8:19. I might just go to bed because I'm old. So happy with the way bed works. Chuck says, cut Congress's medical problem and have the same type as we get. They do, actually. They are on they have to choose from the same... they have to choose from the same Medicare options that we do. Or I should say, not Medicare. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm about done. I'm out of words. It's an hour and a half of broadcasting now, and I wasn't expecting to do this, but it's been great seeing everybody. So I don't know if I'll broadcast tomorrow or not. I imagine there's going to be all kinds of things happening tomorrow, so probably I do want to get the Grinch thing done, so I'll be editing that, and maybe when I edit, I'll go live, and we'll just kind of talk through the editing process, and you guys can come up with ideas for which video to use where and stuff like that. But I have to make that all happen. I have to record it on audio, and then I have to record myself as well, singing it. And do I have a Santa hat somewhere? I used to. Doesn't matter. I got one right here. I can just do it like this. Perfect. Yeah, why not? Trump is going to Mar-a-Lago. Oh, well, that'll be it then. Good night, Dr. Howard. Wear your face bras. Pat Robertson also has said, Trump, it's over. So more and more people now are saying, Trump, the election's over. It's done. Give it up. But it's just going to keep going. Why? Not because Trump thinks that he can actually win the election. It's because every time he sends out an email, he makes another $3 million. So this is just money for Trump right now. This is a fundraiser. This is not a fraud investigation. Danielle, good to see you. Stephanie, good to see you. Ruth Ann, good to see you for the first time in a couple of weeks. Good luck with your finals and everything if that's what's going on. Cousin Larry, good to see you. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody else. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. I will leave the chat window up while we shut things down. Be good to each other. Merry Christmas. Don't be a ho, ho, ho. Actually, go ahead and be a ho. Like, why not make money for doing it? Oh yeah, we'll probably do a movie on we'll do a movie probably on Friday night. I don't know. That depends on what Kevin Lee Daughter feels like on Friday night as well. She might have a movie request. Maybe not. I don't know. And we'll see what happens on Friday. That'll be Christmas Day. I'm leaving things open. I don't want to pin myself down to anything. So we'll talk about movie options at that time. I really should have Christmas music here, really. If I was any kind of professional, I would do that. And if I had a production staff, I would do... I don't have a production staff. So, Merry Christmas. And here's my Christmas song. Phenomenon! Do 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 do.